Greetings, y'all. Welcome to another video. Today we are going to be opening up all this mail. I am finally home from the Low Country, Charleston, South Carolina. Been working down there for 5 some odd months, as a lot of you guys know. Now I'm finally home, and when I'm on the road, a lot of times I'll order things, and when I get home, it's time to open them up. So let's start opening them up. First up, from Havre, Montana. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct. All right, a package inside a package. Gotta like that. Oh, okay, we got Lydia Lunch and her album Queen of Siam, brand new, this one. Lydia Lunch is a kind of infamous, iconic figure in especially the New York punk scene. She was around back in the day when all those bands were starting out. She herself was in a few bands and kind of had some, forays into music, obviously. I'm holding a CD of her music here. And when I was down in South Carolina, I'd watched a documentary about her. I've seen her pop up in other documentaries, but this was focusing on her life and career. And she's an interesting character. She's really interesting. The documentary was decent. It wasn't great, but it was decent. And there were a couple of songs from that documentary that I heard that I kind of liked. And I just thought about maybe finally, for the first time, picking up some of her music to test it out to see what we think. And this is the one I went with. There are a couple of different options I had, but I went with Queen of Siam, which I think came out in the late 70s or early 80s, but this is like a reissue from 2009. I'm trying to remember what was the song that really stood out. I think it's Atomic Bongos. But yeah, I'd be interested to check this one out. This is an enhanced CD. It features a live performance video, plus some rare video of Gloomy Sunday. So we'll see. Hopefully, I don't even know. Some of those older enhanced CDs or whatever don't work anymore, but on the newer computers, but we'll see. So yeah, Lydia Lunch, pretty cool. Next up, from Harrogate, UK. This is from my buddy Matt Speddings. And I already opened this down in South Carolina, so I'm cheating. But decided to include it on this because Matt had sent it to me. This is Talk Talk and their album Spirit of Eden. He sent this to me because when I was over in England, I picked up a Talk Talk album and was talking about them. And he had watched that video, and I guess maybe, I don't know if he asked me what CDs by them I had or whatever, or just knew I didn't have this one. It's a later one. I don't know. I can't even read the copyright info when this came out. But yeah, so I had no idea he was sending this. I got the package. I knew it was from him because he drew all these little Van Halen logos on it. He's a big Van Halen fan. That's how we became friends. We met up at the Alex Van Halen book signing last year. So yeah, really cool of him to send this off to me. He's really thought I would enjoy this album. I know I listened to this at least once while I was down in South Carolina. I did like it, but I don't know if I've listened to it that much more since. You know, there was a lot of music to get through. But yeah, thank you, Matt. Really appreciate it. And this one is coming from our good buddies at Amazon. Amazon, don't we love them? Anyways, I know my friend Jack up in Canada loves Amazon, especially their packaging. So let's see what we got. Nice. We've got Primitives, Echoes, and Rhymes. This is one of my favorite bands, the Primitives. I lucked out last year when I went to England. I got to see them live for the first time. They never come over here to the States and play live anymore, unfortunately. And this was a record that they put out that I had never owned, and I finally decided to pick it up. It's an import. It was a little bit more expensive than your normal CDs. If I remember correctly, I think this was a cover album that they put out by bands that they were fans of. They've done on some of their previous studio records, they've done some covers of like Velvet Underground and stuff that were always really good. So I always heard good things about this and decided to finally grab it. And I really can't wait to dive into this album and check it out. This one is coming to us from Huntington Station, New York. Okay, we've got My Teenage Stride and their album Ears Like Golden Bats. Ears Like Golden Bats. Teenage Stride, I discovered them from the TV show New York Noise, which I've talked about a million times and did a whole video about how much that show exposed me to some new bands that I'd never heard of by seeing the videos. This was one of those bands, and I think what happened was, I think I made a playlist on my phone of all the New York Noise songs that I discovered from watching that show. And I was listening to the playlist, and the song by them that I discovered from watching that show was called To Live and Die in the Airport Lounge. I guess when it popped up, I just was like, did I ever buy that album? Because most of those bands that I discovered on New York Noise, I went out and bought like their albums. And I realized I had never bought their album, and so decided to grab it, and went online, eBay probably, and picked this up. So really curious to hear what the rest of this sounds like, you know, because I don't think I've ever heard anything else by this band. You know, cool kind of, you know, I don't know if they were like, you know, like alternative rock band, but I don't know if they were considered like shoegaze or any of that stuff. I'm horrible with all those genres, really. Yeah, so I'm really curious to see what the rest of this sounds like. Next up, another one from our buddies at Amazon. Yay! Look at this giant box. I know y'all love vinyl more than CDs, and I'm sure most of you can tell this is more than likely vinyl. I can't imagine if I opened this up and it was just one CD. How ridiculous would that be? So let's open it up. Well, Jack, I think you'll be happy to see how Amazon packages their vinyl. Certainly put a little more effort into it than their CDs. And let's pop this open and show you all what I got. It is the Rilo Kiley self-titled album. Initially, I think this was released on CD, I think originally, and I think there have been different versions of this. There was a version that was called The Initial Friend EP. This is a reissue. That CD I've been trying to get for years, and it's out of print. It was very limited, and it's always very expensive on eBay or Discogs, wherever you look. So they reissued this in, I don't know what year, for the first time on vinyl. I don't know what year they reissued this. Maybe it was like 2018, 17, 18, 19, something like that. I don't know, maybe even later. But I decided to finally grab it, because this is something that if I could get it on CD, I'd probably pick up the CD, but like I said, it's impossible to get. So when they reissued the vinyl, I thought that would be a good idea to pick up this on vinyl, and glad I did. I really love Rilo Kiley. I got into them around 2004 or 5, I think, with their album More Adventurous. I have that on vinyl down there somewhere. I love that album. Just went and saw them live in Central Park when I was down in Charleston. I flew into town just to go to that concert and flew right back to Charleston. Fantastic show. They reunited, you know, doing this reunion tour. I don't know if it's going to lead to anything beyond, you know, but it was good to see them live one more time. I'd seen them live years and years ago when they were active back in the day. But just a great band, you know, alternative, really great lyrics, you know, just really solid band, musicianship and everything. And this is a pretty cool collection. Papillon, Always, 85, Glendora. There's a tune on here called The Frug. When I saw them live this most recent time, they played it as part of their encore. And I think they said it maybe was like one of the first songs that they ever wrote together. And it's kind of like a silly, catchy song, but it's fun, you know. The audience always, when they play that, the audience always has a blast. So it's really cool when they bust that out, because it feels like one of those songs that maybe they'd be like, yeah, we're not, we were teenagers when we wrote that. We're not going to play it anymore, but they have fun with it. It's a cool song. So yeah, really cool to pick this one up and finally have it. Next up, some more imports. This one coming from the UK as well. This is Wet from the West Midlands in the UK. All right, more Primitives, y'all. This is their album that just put out this year called Let's Go Around Again. Brand new. I think I bought this directly from the band. But this is a compilation. So the band split in like the early 90s sometime. And then they reunited, I guess, in like 2011 and started playing some more shows and started recording singles, I think, at first. And then they put out that Echoes and Rhyme record. Then they put out a full new record called Spinorama, which is really good. And a handful of other singles, they were just kind of doing that. And that's what this is. This is a collection of like all of the singles that they recorded from their reunion from 2011 to 2025. So this is just all singles, that they had put out, and really good collection. Again, this was a bit expensive. They put this out on vinyl as well. I think maybe it was a little bit cheaper on vinyl, but I wanted to get the CD. This is, you see like the OB strip there or whatever. This is actually like the Japanese version of it in a jewel case. So yeah, really excited to have that. And they threw this in here. Oh, this is a postcard for their 40th anniversary tour, which I guess is going on right now, 2025. Yeah, like I said, I saw them last year live, just complete coincidence. I couldn't believe they were playing London when I was going to be there. But yeah, so this will be fun. A lot of this, I have Spinorama, like I said. A lot of this other stuff I don't have. Some of it I'm familiar with, and there's some really cool songs on here. But yeah, really excited to have that one. From Champaign, Illinois, we got a whole bunch of stuff from the label Polyvinyl. Polyvinyl have some stuff that they've released in the past, but they were having some kind of like crazy sale on their site, getting rid of some stock, and I just went through it, and there were a handful of things on there that interest me, so I decided to pick it up. And they threw in a little candy for some reason. Airheads are thrown in here, and that's a sticker for the label, obviously. So what do we got here? What did I order? Geez, I don't even remember ordering this many. I picked up 4 CDs. First up is the Japandroids. I remember having something from this album. I don't remember which song, but I just, I remember this band. I remember this album cover artwork. This came out in 2012. So I think this was a case of where I may have gotten like a sampler. Polyvinyl is one of those record labels where you would get samples sometimes for free, and it would have just a bunch of singles from different bands on their label. And I think that was the case with this band, that I got a sampler, and one of the songs from this album was on there that I I remember liking, but again, I can't remember which song it was. But when I was going through the list of all the stuff they had on sale, I saw this. I remember the album cover, the band name, and I was like, why not get it? I think the receipt. Let me see if it's on here. Like, all these things were like, I mean, $2 to $4 each. So that's why they were really cheap. And this is brand new. So I think I got this one for $4. So that's Japandroids. And then the next one, we've got Rainer Maria. This one they just sent with all the artwork in the CD. So I'll put this in my own jewel case. That's, here's the back and all that. Good band, alternative, kind of, I don't know. Again, I'm not really good with those descriptions, but really cool band. I have one other CD by them, I think, but the song from this album that was probably the very first thing I ever heard by this band is called Artificial Light, and it's on this album, and I really love that. And again, I think when I was going through this and I saw this come up, I think I was sure that I owned that already. I was like, I must have bought that CD. And then I looked in my catalog and I didn't, so I decided to grab it. And again, especially because I think this was $2. Yeah, no, this one was $4 as well. So again, really cheap, and I really love that song. And I like some other stuff by them, so I decided to grab it. That's another good one to pick up. This one, okay, La Sera, really good band, alternative. All these are kind of like alternative and stuff. And have a couple of records by them. Actually, I think I have more vinyl by them than CDs. I might have like one CD or two CDs and then a couple of vinyl records by them. But really good band. Didn't have this album. Again, it was really cheap. I don't know, is this the one that was $2? Yeah, this was $2, brand new. Don't know any of the tunes off of this. I don't think I've ever heard anything from this, but yeah, just really thrilled to have this one. Like I said, I really do like this band. And finally, from Polyvinyl, we've got the Vivian Girls and Memory. And this is, I don't know what year this is from, but Vivian Girls is a really cool, garage alternative band. I think all female trio, I think. I think I discovered them. I was talking about New York Noise earlier, wasn't I? I forget. I discovered them through New York Noise. They would pop up on there a lot. They did some like interviews and stuff on the channel as well, in addition to showing their videos. Vivian Girls are actually out on tour right now, and I'm going to see them in Los Angeles in the end of October or beginning of November or something like that. So really looking forward to that. Again, this is a record that I don't think I know any of these tracks. I have a couple of their CDs, but this one I think was unfamiliar to me. I didn't have it, so again, grabbed it. I think this was $3 or something. But yeah, really, really cool band. I really like the Vivian Girls. They kind of have a little bit of like a 50s girl group kind of sound to them as well. I was talking to a friend out west about them, seeing if they wanted to go to the show, and they weren't familiar with them, and I was kind of sending them some samples of their music. Yeah, really cool band, Vivian Girls. So that's everything from Polyvinyl. And last but not least, another import from good old England, this one coming from London. And I know what this one is, and the interesting thing about this is I bought this directly from the band, and let me open it up and then I'll tell you the little tale. Shriekback and their brand new record, Monument. Oh, it's autographed. That kind of ruins my story now. Well, I picked this up direct from the band. This album came out earlier this year. I talked about this in a previous video because the band, I was on some sort of mailing list or whatever, and the band, I just woke up one day and got an email saying, here's our new album, help yourself, download it. And I downloaded the album and I listened to it, and it was really good. Surprised me. I mean, I liked Shriekback back in the 80s, but hadn't really listened to any of their stuff after that. And so when I listened to this, it really surprised me. I really dug this album. And at the time, there was no physical media for it available, so I just kind of kept my ears and eyes open and thought when they put this out physically, I'll maybe pick up a copy of it. And they finally did, so I bought it. And my story was going to be that, since I got it directly from the band, Barry Andrews, the main dude in Shriekback, he must have packaged these himself, because on the custom form, he signed it, and so I was like, when I got it, I was like, oh, look at that, I got his autograph. That's kind of cool. Maybe I'll save that, cut it out and put it, in one of my records or something like that, just to keep it, but again, like I said, I didn't realize that he autographed the CD, so I guess I don't really need to do that. Womp womp. There goes my interesting story, right? But anyways, really fantastic album. If you were a fan of Shriekback back in the day and kind of lost touch with them over the years, I think you might really enjoy it. There's a lot of really cool stuff on here. It reminded me a bit of the stuff that they did in the 80s, actually. But yeah, so that's everything that I ordered while I was away down south working. Good to be home. And I can't wait to, I got a lot of stuff here to listen to, so I got to get right to that. And I got some free time, so that'll work out. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it as always. And let me know if you're familiar with any of this stuff. See y'all next time later on.